Okay, back to sharing my screen. Sorry about that, but it's good. Okay. So we're talking about goals as worlds. I'll just recap really quick since we just started recording. We talk about world making because goals, the etymology is it's a border we cross. It's a boundary we cross, and we're going to enter into new worlds. So when we say setting goals, it feels like a to-do list, just this objective we're going to set and cross it off a checklist. I want to kind of change the way you think, revolutionize the way you think about goals, and think about them as worlds that we'll step into. And these worlds we want to step into, if we're going to a new place, we need to obviously know how to get there. We have to plan our trip or our journey. Now, when we talk about entering into a new world, one of the reasons, if you ever travel, I'm in Rome right now, and it's, I guess, 10 o'clock here, 10 p.m. And I've never been to Rome. It's my first time. I always dreamed of going to Rome. It's a new world. Now I can fantasize about going to Rome, and I did. You can watch documentaries about it, travel guides about it. You get yourself acquainted with this world you want to enter, but you don't really enter the world until you go there. Until I cross the border into Rome, I've never actually been to Rome. And I want you to think about your goals a lot like we think about going on a trip somewhere, a journey somewhere. And getting to Rome nowadays is pretty easy, right? Just hop on a flight and you're there. But 200 years ago, it would have been quite difficult. And most of the goals that mean a lot to us, it's kind of like going to Rome from New York City 200 years ago. You can get there, but it's going to be tough. So when we talk about going to this new world, one, we want to experience the emotions of that new world. So when we think about having a new physique or growing spiritually or starting a business or making a lot of money, if you get down to the brass tacks of why you want that, it's an experience you want. And if it's an experience you want, it's an emotion that you want. At the root of our existence is just emotion. We're all seeking emotions. And you could break them into two broad categories of pleasure and avoiding pain. Now, pleasure has a variety of forms. Happiness has a variety of forms, right? You can have the feeling of tranquility, the feeling of curiosity, the feeling of peace, the feeling of connection, the feeling of love. So when we think about these worlds, I want to think about them as worlds, and the worlds we enter into are emotional worlds. If you start to ask yourself why you want a new house, why you'd like to live somewhere else, right? It's because the emotions you're currently experiencing where you're at don't make you happy, don't bring you fulfillment, don't give you the emotions you want to feel. So when I think about goals, I think about worlds I want to enter into and emotions I want to experience. That's what goals means to me, and I hope you'll agree that it's a good definition of goals. It kind of shifts it a little bit from just some objective out there, and it gets to the root of why we want the goal, right? We know the worlds we want to enter into, and we know the emotions we want to experience. That's what we're going to focus on when we set our goals. Now, goals, there's really kind of two types of goals. There's the goal where it's just kind of fun, and the journey's fun, and the emotions you experience on the journey are just kind of exciting. For instance, I like to play golf. I have a goal to get better at golf. This is an easy goal for me. It's something fun to do. I hardly ever feel that frustrated, even though golf is a frustrating sport. Even when I'm frustrated there, it's still kind of fun. It's not like a high stakes thing for me. So when you set goals, you're going to have goals that are just kind of they're not things that bring you a ton of stress. If you don't reach it, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so those are the easy journeys. That's like getting on the plane and going to Rome, a fairly easy way to travel. Those are great. You got to have some of those easy goals where it's just fun, not a lot of stress. Now, the second type of journey is the journey to the big goals we want. And those journeys are going to be fun, but they're also going to be hard. For instance, I love writing, I love business, I love neuroscience. It's a lot of work, it's hard, and it's not just positive emotion all the time. There's emotions that I feel that we would categorize as negative, emotions that pull me back, that make me feel stuck. And I need to know I'm going to experience those emotions on the journey to this new world. What messes people up as they enter into 2025 or a new year is that they set goals and these goals excite them and they think that excitement's going to last. You're going to wake up tomorrow, probably go work out, change your diet, feel good. And then by the end of the week, the end of the month, you're going to phase out. You're going to wake up one morning and not feel like doing it. You're going to wake up one morning and cheat on your diet and then feel like crap and then say, what the hell, who cares? You're going to experience a ton of emotions, and not being prepared for those emotions, it's why you don't complete your goals. If you know what emotions to expect and when they come up, you recognize them and you know how to deal with them, it's easier to get back on track. It's easier to keep going. We're going to drop perfection here. We're going to recognize that we're going to have these goals, we're going to go off track, and then we'll make our way back on track. We're going to wake up some mornings and just feel apathetic. We're going to wake up some mornings and feel like little kids not wanting to go to school. We're going to throw tantrums because we don't want to get up and work out or whatever. We don't want to work on the business. We don't want to make sales calls, right? We're going to feel those emotions the same way everybody starts off on a trip in a movie and everybody's gung ho. They always show everybody packing up their gear, Frodo going off to, destroy the ring. At first, everything's just kind of fun and they're going, but then, the trouble hits, the obstacles hit, and we need to be ready for those. Okay. So the 6 steps and this is kind of a crash course, a whirlwind tour through this. I have a mini program that I'll give everybody at the end if you want to go a little deeper into each of these steps. But I know we have limited time, and I want to actually go through the goal setting with you. Okay, so the 6 steps to goal setting or world making is step 1. We're going to set our dream worlds, and I'm going to give you a template after I'm done with this where you can open it up. I hope everybody has access to a Google Doc. If you don't, you can also write it down, but I'll give you or type it out any way you want. But if you have access to Google Drive, I'm going to share a document with you where you can fill it out and type it out. We're going to set our dream worlds. Step 2 is we're going to find little stressors in our life. We'll talk about that as we do it. Step 3 is we're going to look at regrets in the future world that scares us. We're going to look at the nightmare world. Ever since I was young, and I made a program called the Killer Instinct program, and it was originally for athletes. That's why the name Killer Instinct is there. But then a lot of athletes told me they used it after they were done playing sports, and one of their favorite drills was setting nightmares and setting dreams. Everybody says set your dreams. When I was young, I thought, it's a good idea to set your nightmares. So you want to know what world you wish to avoid. And then once we get our dream world and our nightmare worlds set in each area of life, we're going to plan on how to get to the new world. This is where we're going to think about how we can actually start the journey, stay on the journey, who can help us, what can help us, and again, always thinking about the emotional aspect of getting to these new worlds, to the new dream worlds. So I will also share this document with you, this PDF, so you can download it and go through it. I think the best thing to do is to jump into actually setting our goals, walking through it. I'll do like a run through it really quickly, and then we can all do it together if that works. Let me stop sharing really quick. I know that's a whirlwind tour, but I think it'll make more sense once we actually start filling out the paperwork. Okay. So let me share this with you and make sure you can open it. I'll go through it first before we do it together. Let me know if you can open that if you have a Google Doc. Thanks, Anton. I appreciate it. I know it's a little bit of a crash course, but and I'm going to share my screen again so I can show you how to use it. A lot of you probably already know, but okay, so I see 17 of you are here. So the way you'll work on this is if you go to File and you go to Make a Copy, right? And just put, this is yours now. If you go like John Doe, Goals 2025. If you make a copy, this is going to be in your Google Drive. So now you can work from this. You can type in this, whatever you want, okay? That'll be yours. So you go once more, you just go to File, Make a Copy, and then it's yours, and you can work from that, okay? It's very, very easy to do. If you can't access a Google Drive, These are the categories we're going to be working from. Okay, ignore that. That was for a friend. These are the categories we're going to be working from. And you can also, if you need to add more categories, if you want to take out a category here, then you can do that. So is everybody on board with that? Is that cool with everybody? Looks like make a copy is disabled. Okay, let me see if there's anything I need to do. Maybe I can't make editor, viewer.
It worked fine for me when I made a copy.
Okay, can you try again, Lisa Marie? Copy is saved to, okay, thanks, Anton. Can you try maybe refresh the page, Lisa Marie, see if it works for you?
Made a copy.
Okay, cool. I really like this one thing that I learned about goal setting is the first step to write down the goal. Yeah, we're going to
probably just me. That's okay. I was able to download it to Excel, so thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, cool. I can also later send it to you if you give me, or share it with you if you have your email. Okay, so everybody has access to it. Oh yeah, okay. Kyle's probably right. If you're not logged into Google, you might not be able to. Okay, so how about before you all start writing, I'm going to go through it once on my own, just watch what I do, and then maybe we'll take 3 to 5 minutes for each section, and we can go through it together. Okay, it's hard with so many people in this group, so I hope this works. I thought we'd have a little smaller group and we could bounce ideas off each other. But okay, so this is how I set my goals, and everybody can see my screen. So the way I always begin is with Dream World. So we see step 1 here, Dream World template. Actually, this section we can do at the same time once I just give you an overview of how to do it. This is very simple. Here, I'm thinking about my goals for this year and my ultimate goals. And in this first section, this step 1, you see this tab down here. This is where we're going to have no limits about what we want. Okay, this is absolutely zero limits. It applies to this year. It applies to ultimate goals, right? So you just want to start typing here. Like for me, I want to get down to say 195 pounds, something simple. I want to bench press 345 pounds this year. That was my record. I did long time ago, actually. I want to get back to that. I want to increase my flexibility. And then I could think of something like long-term, 80 years old. I want to be able to run a marathon, right? So here we're just emptying our brain of anything we can think about. You know, if you want a facelift, whatever, right? You put that in here. If you want teeth whitening, anything with your body. If there's something regarding your health here, let me make sure that's gone. If there's something regarding your health here, you can say, you know, I need a checkup, right? I haven't been a physical. It can be big, it can be small, but we don't want to limit ourselves here. This is our dream world, right? And you can also occasionally type in, like if I think the 345 bench press 345 pounds, and I'm not worrying about typos here. I'm just emptying my brain. As long as I know what it says, what it means, I just let my fingers go crazy, right? So I'll do a 345. And why do I want that? Why do I want to enter that world? I want to feel powerful, right? Strong. And strong, actually, if you think about when you feel strong, it's an emotion of confidence, right? Something like that. And you can start to think about why do I want to weigh 195 pounds? I feel emotionally better. I feel higher self-esteem, right? So you can start to also label the emotions you want to feel here. Okay. Young, and everything's emotion. So I can say, I want to feel young. Feel young. What's feel young? Feel young means I have confidence in my body. I wake up not sore, right? And when I'm not sore, I feel young. And it kind of loops. So you start to think about the emotions that go along with these worlds you're going to enter into. And as you start to approach these worlds, what you're writing here and what we'll get to is, you know, the person you have to become to enter these worlds. Some of these worlds have like, to enter them, you have to be a different person by the time you get there. Right. So it's like you want to go to this world of fitness. By the time you get there, to let you into that world, your passport, so to speak, will be the shape you're in, right? Your diet. And you could say, I'm actually on the carnivore diet. So I'll put carnivore diet, stay strict, right? So you can write, anything you want your body and health. This is the most fun, I think, the most fun part of world making, of goal setting. And guess what you do? You just go to each area of life. Business, career goals. If you're a student, that could be in here. You could student goals. And then I also have an area for quality of life. This can be something like, I never want to do laundry again. Right? Something like that. Some small things even that could improve the quality of your life. I want to hire a helper for my monthly budgeting, right? Something like that. Anything you want to put in here that's a quality of life related, just let your mind go nuts. And then you have financial goals, material things you want. And, you can go crazy here. You say, I want a private jet. Some of the people I've worked with are super wealthy and they want to get a private jet, a yacht, mansion, right? This can be your ultimate goal. Or it could be, I want to move from this house to a smaller house, right? It could, anything material. I want new clothes. You maybe want gadgets. You can write anything in here. Think about this year, think about ultimately. I also have a section called adult stuff, the things you don't want to do, but it's important. And that could be life insurance, set up a will, invest, save. This year I will set up a will. Again, I don't worry about typos now. I'm just filling all of this in. This is the world, you might say, of responsibility, right? This is the world of abundance. And then you can have spiritual, emotional, and psychological goals. So I want to be more unconditionally loving this year. I really want to love my enemies, even my a-hole boss, right? Haha. Can have a little fun with this, okay? So whatever, you meditate every day. Friends and family goals. Reach out to old friends once per month, right? Make a friend list and reach out to them. Family goals. Set up rituals. This is actually one of my goals for each holiday going forward. I had friends in high school who every holiday they had a little ritual. Like every Christmas, everybody knew what was going to happen. Every 4th of July, it was like family traditions, right? Rituals, traditions. I want to set that up for my family this year. Love romance. Find a lover. Leave a lover. Maintain a loving relationship. Fix my love life, right? There's a lot of things that could happen here. Trip to Fiji with lover, okay? So goals this year, goals ultimately, skill goals. This could be hobbies. These are usually the fun stuff for me, that I do in my spare time, like golf, boxing, maybe you're into sword fighting, right? What's your goal for that? Anything. I have a friend who's learning how to tie knots. That's one of his goals for this year. He's fascinated by people who can tie a lot of knots. So he has a tying knot goal. I'm not joking. And then travel and experience goals, right? This year, I'm trying to do spiritual travels, which will be like go to Wang Bo, who wrote The Transmission of No Mind, his place in China, Assisi, never been to Assisi, etc. Right? So I'm in Rome. Part of it is I wanted to visit the Vatican. So that's cool. I'm kind of knocking off some of my travel and experience goals. And it can be local stuff you want to do. The pumpkin pick this year, right? Like it doesn't have to be all world changing. You just want to think about this year and ultimately, and then miscellaneous. If there's something like I have a friend who's a professional salsa dancer, we were working earlier. She put dancer as a category unto itself because she dances salsa, bachata, and she wants to expand into actually ballet. So there, and then make her courses. She's teaching courses for dance, right? So if you have like a section like this where you just want to break it off as your own little thing, if you have like a certain career or certain aspect of your life that needs its own category, that's all you have to do. So this is step one is just empty your brain of everything that you want in these categories. Okay. And if that works, how about, yes, Anton, some of these will overlap. I'll give you a good example. What's that? Oh, sorry. Some of these will overlap. So for instance, my body over here, I might have box 2 times a week or something as hit. And then I'll have box over here under skills, right? So yes, they can, I don't even worry about it. If I have the same thing in 3 different areas, right, it's fine with me. And then, because it's cool, at the end of the year, when you come in, you can cross off boxing twice, right? So I'll go in, and then at the end of the year, my goal is, I used to try to get 100% of my goals every year. Now I'm happy with, like, if I get 75, 80% of them, I'm thrilled with it. At the end of the year, or as the year goes on, oh, I hired somebody to do my laundry. Boom, cross it off. I like to see all my goals at the end of the year crossed off, right? So yeah, it can definitely overlap. Cool. So why don't we take 5-10 minutes, and how about everybody, let's set our dream goals for this year and overall. So again, there's no limits here. Don't doubt yourself. If like the wild dream is to have $100 million company, right? Put it here, or start your company, or learn to speak, get a promotion, whatever it is, go back to school. You put it here. There's no limits here. No limits at all. And this is, you're part of a group, and I know people who go to stuff like this, like everybody in this group will support each other. And we're going to talk about the importance of support as well. But I do think when you write this down, you have this conviction, this feeling of certainty that you're going to enter these worlds. Okay. You're going to enter these worlds. So let's empty our brain for 5 to 10 minutes. If everybody has access to the sheet, go ahead and fill it out. If not, you can just write with pen and paper. Does that work for everybody? Cool. Okay. And I'll check back, let's say 4:45. How about that? 9-10 minutes. And if you have any questions, I'm going to be looking at the chat, and I'll mute myself here. And you all can talk if you need to talk. You're able to unmute yourselves.
Hey Dylan, it's Anton again. All the questions. Um, so do we need to add a feeling or an emotion to each one of them, or just write the goal? Don't worry about how I'll feel or that aspect. Oh, you're on mute, Dylan. You're muted.
I forgot I muted myself. Thank you. So typically what I'll do is I'm feeling the emotions as I'm writing the goals. I don't always add the emotion that I'm going to feel. What I'll sometimes do when I actually plan my day is every time I read that goal, I try to mentally feel the emotion. Some people like to write out the emotion. So you can just do some goals, like I will write the emotion if it's a big one. But for me, it's like as I write the goal, I feel mentally what I want to feel, if that makes sense. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm rambling a little bit.
No, it's good. And I'm glad you said we can maybe build on it as we internalize it more and more. We can add the emotion as it strikes us.
That's exactly right.
Not sit here and go like, I wonder how I'm going to feel. And like, I put too much thought into one thing. I want to keep moving. All right, good. Thanks.
Yeah, let it flow. Let it flow. I'm going to admit people in the waiting room. Hopefully they're not the crazies.
All right, thanks.
CFO here is, she's like,
We'll go about 2 more minutes just to keep everybody in the loop. Okay, we'll start to move on to the next section. I assume you may not have finished everything. That I did this. I did this maybe 2 weeks ago, and it probably took me 45 minutes to an hour to kind of get everything out of my system. So if you didn't finish, it's okay. You can finish it later. I'm sure you got the vibe for doing it. I hate to interrupt you. I wish we were like in a room and we could just go until everybody was done. But I know everybody has some time constraints and things going on today. So we'll move to the next step. I think this is, again, the most exhilarating. Notice the probably hope you feel, the emotion you're feeling as you write these. Hopefully, you're feeling hope, you're feeling excitement, you're writing down things that make you feel, enthusiastic about the future. All right. So, what do we do after that? Guess what? I'm going to now, we're going to shift to negative emotion. So, we're feeling great. And now I want to bring you down. No, just joking. But the next step, step 2, is we're going to start to hone in more on this year's goals. Okay. And we'll eventually reference back to what we just did. But we want to start thinking about the problems we have, the problems we have in the present and the problems we could have in the future. So I call it stressors and regrets, and we'll do these together. I'll go over it, and then I'll leave you for 10 minutes to do it again. Okay. Now, when you set your dream goals, you're kind of automatically already finding the negative emotion, but we want to bring the negative emotion to top of mind. Okay. Because what I teach in the letting go program is if you think about any thought you have, especially a quote unquote negative thought, what makes a thought negative, it's not that the thought brings up a negative emotion. It's actually that you have a negative emotion that just kind of comes into consciousness for a fleeting second. It's so quick that it's so quick it disappears and it feels like it's unconscious. But if you notice any negative thought, if you pay attention, you'll realize there was a little emotion that preceded it that gave rise to the negative thought. Okay. In neuroscience, you have something called the default mode network. So if you leave people alone and put them in an fMRI machine, and you don't give them any instructions, most people end up ruminating. They end up thinking of things that stress them. Your brain is set up to feel problems. Okay. And essentially, in every area of life, we have stressors. And if we start to look for those stressors, little things that bother us, these little negative emotions, they're usually not huge. I mean, for some things it's huge, but we'll talk about those. But for a lot of things, it's just little subtle check engine lights, right? So these little negative emotions we have, these little fleeting negative emotions, they're the check engine lights of life. And unlike most cars, I don't know, my check engine light on my car was on for like 5 years and nothing was wrong with it. But in our life, these little negative emotions, these emotional check engine lights, they really do mean something. So this is the way I do it. I'm assuming you can still see my screen. So we set our dream world. I'm going to go to body. I'm going to put stressor. Okay, so I ask myself, well, why don't we do? Yeah, we'll do body here. Stressor. What's stressing me right now? I'm a little heavier than I want to be. Okay, this is where I'll actually start to think about the emotion and add the emotion, right? I'm dating and don't feel confident. You got to be brutally honest here, right? This isn't a time to try to be virtuous or moral. You're talking about your feelings. The feelings are coming from the unconscious. They can be vain. They can be narcissistic. You just let anything come up. You could say, I don't like my gray hair. It bothers me. Something like that. I'm worried about I'm pre-diabetic, let's say. I have a friend who's pre-diabetic, just found out, right? That's a stressor. They're feeling a negative emotion. They're feeling anxiety, fear, right? Frustration, self-hate, right? You can start to label these emotions here, these stressors. You might be stressed about, it can be something as, I don't like my hairstyle. I don't like my skin, my teeth bother me, right? You can do anything here that's stressing you. I don't feel strong or flexible. See, when you ask your mind for problems, it just can spew them out because it's holding on to these emotions to let you know that it wants something done about this. So you can always ask yourself, like, what's stressing me right now? You know, I couldn't go up 3 flights of stairs without running out of breath, right? That's a stressor. I don't, you know, and again, you can add the emotion. I worry about my long-term health. A lot of these are going to be obviously fear-based, anger-based, anxiety-based, sadness-based, right? I'm worried about growing older and losing my health. Stressor. We often repress it. We don't want to look at that, but it's there. So for each section, I go through and I list the stressors, right? For each section. Stressor for quality of life. I feel stressed about tax season. I hate it, right? That's a stressor. It's quality of life. I hate mowing my lawn, right? I feel like I'm wasting time. So we've gone from light of setting these dreams we want, and we're starting to build our nightmares. So start with stressors, and we'll do these two at the same time, stressors, and then we go to regrets. So stressors are kind of like your present world, the world you live in right now, okay? The world that you currently exist in, what's bothering you, the negative emotion that you're feeling, we're bringing it up to consciousness, okay? The stressors help you hone in on some of the smaller goals in your life a lot of the time because they're smaller emotions. But sometimes they help you deal with denial. Like I can't walk up a flight of 3 flights of stairs without running out of breath. This is a little stressor emotionally, but it's probably pushing down an even larger fear. And that's like I'm not taking care of myself. I'm going to die young. So even these small stressors can point to huge emotional repression. And that's why we pay attention to these small stressors, because your mind's telling you, hey, you're okay now, but we know where this is going. So where this is going is to our regrets. And what we do here is we fast forward to, I call it the 1-5 life drill. And you could do this for regrets. So we're in the health section. And I think at the end of the year, what's a regret I would have? I didn't work out. I didn't change my diet. Let's see, I didn't take care of my teeth, right? I want to whiten my teeth. I don't know why that keeps coming up. I want to whiten my teeth or something. I didn't take care of my teeth at the end of the year. My teeth are it can be big, it can be small, but we think about regrets at the end of the year. In 5 years, we think about now I'm on a ton of medication for my heart. I can't walk up any flights of stairs. I can't keep up with my kids. I can't hike. So now we're getting to it, right? 5 years out. If we don't take care of these little stressors, right, where do we end up? And you can see what we're actually doing here is we're building the nightmare, right? The nightmare. The stressors are more about right now. The regrets are about the future world. And then you can go, this can take a lot longer. You can really flesh these out. You can go end of life. Sometimes I call it deathbedding, you know, like on your deathbed. and for health, it could be like, I missed so much living because of bad health. I wasn't there to see my grandkids grow up, right? Maybe you're young now, but you fast forward to the end of life and you think, I don't see my grandkids. I'm in and out of the hospital. I have no self-esteem. I hate myself, right? Let's get real here. At the end of life, what are you going to feel if you don't take care of your body? Okay, so we set our dream world. Now we're looking at stressors and regrets. And here's the thing. Most of us, these things here, our stressors, our regrets, guess what? They're going to be very similar for all of us. Our dreams very often are differentiated a lot. But our stressors and our regrets, every time I work with people, a lot of this stuff ends up being the same. Okay. So why don't we take 10 minutes, another 10 minutes, and let's do stressors and regrets for each area. And you know, you might have you might have 3 stressors and 10 regrets. You might have 20 stressors and 20 regrets. It just go until it's empty. You're not going to probably be able to do it all in the next 10 minutes, obviously, but it gets you into the pattern of doing this. And then we'll do 2 more steps or 3 more steps after that. And that we get back to, we'll do 1 more negative emotion thing, and then we're back to the positive emotion. Okay, so let's take 10 minutes, about, let's say 5:06, if that works for everybody. And put any questions you have in the chat.
Hey Dylan, I had a question. I was wondering if I can ask it right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was unmuting it.
Yeah, no worries. So in step 1, you about goal setting. I like how you said it's like creating new worlds. I'm assuming goal setting is only reserved for the conscious part of your mind, or how would you do it through the subconscious? And would it be different for the subconscious to make a world versus the conscious?
So when you start to set your conscious goals, right, your dream world goals, very often, as you get in touch with your emotion, you're going to tap into what the unconscious wants. I made a program on this, and I'm going to send everyone a link to access it. I talk about the fact that as you set goals, the unconscious comes alive actually, and you get in touch with what you really want. So when you know what you really want in the unconscious, right? When you get down to who you are in the unconscious, it eliminates, I'd say, delusions of grandeur, and it eliminates greed. So for me, right, when I was younger and I'd set my goals, I would write down, I want a mega mansion. You know, I was like 18 years old. And then I realized as I got more in touch with my unconscious, you might say, you could even say, you know, the unconscious and the soul are different, but you get in touch with who you are, you realize, oh, actually, I don't want to make a mansion. I'd like to have a nice little cozy house, right? And if I had $100 million, I don't know what I'd do. I really just want, you know, I want to make like 100,000 or 150,000 a year. So one of the things is as you set these dream world goals, when you really get in touch with yourself and in touch with those emotions, which are bubbling up from the unconscious, it's an antidote to like exuberance. Now, you may really want that huge house. You may want $100 million a year. It's entirely possible, right? But the unconscious, the more you get in tune with your emotions, the more your conscious goals are going to align with your unconscious goals. At least that's been my experience. And I've done a lot of work with the unconscious mind. I spent 3 years every day going into the collective unconscious. I made a program about it called "Come to Know Your Dark Side." So I'm pretty confident actually that as you get in touch with your emotions, you're getting in touch with that unconscious, the unconscious desires and goals that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So at the same time, I was wondering, would it make sense to like wait to be like in alignment with all possible parts of yourself and then start making goals? Because
I
then
think
they will be truer goals or authentic goals.
You know, what I would do is set the goals and trust that at some point, if they don't align with who you really are, you're going to find out. It's like if you aim for the mansion and then you end up in, a 2,000 square foot house or 1,500 square foot house, it's like you're still going to eventually end up where you want to be, right? And you'll just realize, oh, I was aiming for that, and I ended up with what I wanted anyways. So it's okay. It's also okay, like, to not always perfectly align with who you are in your unconscious, right? It's okay. So I would still set the goals, and I think if you start to pay attention to your emotions, more than likely you're going to align with your unconscious, and you also change. You might really want that house now, and then in 5 years you've evolved a little bit. The unconscious has shifted, and now you downshift. So I would set the goals, go for it.
All right, thank you.
Of course, great questions. Yushan, I see your hands up.
Hi, I have I have a very curious question. Well, question but also a statement, but mostly combined. But yeah,
Cool.
so like so because what I learned through my college life is that like when you set up goal, like let's say you like when you set the amount of goal and let's you don't achieve those goals, it would like deter you from what you want to reach. So that's where I'm conflict with because like I've been set a lot of goals, but if you don't achieve those goals, the one that by the end of the year, like would that goal even be worth being setting, even if you don't achieve it by the end of what your expectation is?
So I've talked a lot about this in other programs. So a very real concern. There's
Mm-hmm.
two solutions I have for this. One is you need to realize the real reason you're on this planet. And either if you're a believer and an atheist or whatever, if you're a believer, your fundamental goal on earth is to become, let's just say, a good person, to be loving, right? That's the fundamental. Oh, that's the fundamental goal. Okay, so if that's the fundamental goal, the real goal, if you study people who've had near-death experiences and you believe in those, they all come back and say, it wasn't the fact that I was a CEO, it wasn't the fact that I was an Eagle Scout or I was president of the United States or whatever. What really matters is the time I helped an old lady cross the street. Okay, so if you start to recognize that your real mission on earth is to be kind and loving, then all these other goals that are about ambition and success, it becomes a game. It becomes extra. And if you achieve it, great. It's like winning Monopoly. Good job. If you don't achieve it, you realize that my number one goal is spirituality. My number one goal is humanism. If you're an atheist, I want to be a good person and to the best of my ability. So if you get too caught up in achieving these material goals, these career goals, these physical goals, I think they're all noble. I think you should go for it. But if you don't make them, and then you feel like you're shrunk and you're not a worthy person, I think this is what the Bible would call, you're wearing the world not like a loose garment, you're wearing it like spandex. Okay, you're wearing it like a straitjacket. It's on you too much. When you realize, when I used to play sports, one thing that helped me handle pressure in a big game was I would remember before I'd go out, I would remember that all I need to do is, let me mute somebody here. All I need to do is play my very best, and how I put a ball through a hoop, I played basketball, it says nothing about who I am as a person, right? So then it freed me up to go up and do my best. If I succeeded, extra, icing on the cake. If I didn't, I'm still going to help the old lady cross the street. I'm still going to go volunteer. Our goals, when we don't achieve them, we build up these huge goals in our mind, and they become like these giants, these things we want to embody. We want to we build up this new world, this new self, who we're going to be. And what people don't talk about is if you don't reach that, this is what you're talking about, those giants turn around and they attack us. So our goals, the things that inspire us, also can trample us if we take the world too seriously. So that's how I've always handled failure. I remember the only real failure is failing morally, you might say. So that's a very short answer to a very, very deep and complex question. Does that help you at all?
Yeah, I understand now because as you explain, as you were talking about, it just came to me that the thought that I have like last year, which is like instead of trying to achieve a goal, learn the value of what your goal is, and then learn the because that makes sense because like I started realizing that whether you reach the goal or not, the important part is the lesson behind it and what you can gain from
Yep.
it.
That's part two. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
part one is remember you're a spiritual person, or if you're an atheist, your humanism is what's most important, how you treat people, how you interact. The second level is even in going, I've had a lot of goals I've failed in achieving, failed to reach, but
Mm-hmm.
I always learn something. And it's like when I was in high school, I wanted to play in the NBA. I mean, who doesn't, right? You want to be a professional. I didn't make it. I made it, to like college, D1, and then that was it. That's as far as I made it. Was I a failure? I mean, yes, the ultimate goal I didn't reach, but the things I learned, like being able to work when you don't feel like it, being able to handle failure, to handle success, to learn how to work on your emotions and the fundamentals of your craft. It's helped me in business. It's helped me in school. So you also become something in failure, and you also need to just kind of laugh about it. You need to smile about your failures and just kind of wear the world lightly. But yeah, spiritual. You're here for spiritual or humanistic reasons, and second, you're going to learn lessons, as you said, and become someone or something different.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Of course. Great question. Akshat, sorry if I'm saying your
Yeah.
name wrong. I
Um,
apologize.
no, it's perfectly fine. So the other question I had is your one of the things you mentioned at the start was about emotions, and I was wondering if do you think that we as human beings have probably not found all the emotions, or like scientifically speaking, not observed them or created them, or as if you're an archaeologist, not dug them up yet from like a perspective like old emotions from ancient civilizations that could be different. So I'm kind of
That's
looking
interesting.
at it from the present time, looking into the past, if there are emotions that we might have lost, and
Mm.
from a scientific perspective or futuristic perspective, not create the new emotions. And if you could go either way, which emotion do you think we might be lacking or missing, or which one would you create out of?
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. What a question. So
Oh,
you're hitting,
this is open to everyone, so if anyone wants to put it in chat, feel free to do that.
yeah, throw some answers in chat. Very interesting question. We know neuroscientifically there are 5 basic emotions that are kind of universal among humans. Things like surprise, anger, happiness, whatever, sadness. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. It would be my honor if everyone would sign up for this program. It is 100% free. It's my full letting go program, and I go into the nature of emotion here. So I will say there are emotions I talk about that people don't think of as emotion. This is such a long cover. I can't give you a full answer here because we'll have to finish the goal setting. On January 5th, I'm doing how to letting go in your dark side. You should definitely come to that because we can get far deeper into this. But essentially, there are things I think of as emotion that we don't acknowledge as emotion. So, and this pertains to goal setting. You're going to wake up some days and feel nothing. And nothing is an emotion. Okay. Nothing is an emotion. Feeling blah is an emotion, right? So feeling blankness is an emotion. I actually look at everything as emotion. There are some higher emotions that I call states of being. That includes, in Hinduism, you'd say Sit, Chat, Ananda, something like that. In Christian mysticism, it's love, but it's not love like an emotion. It's love as a standing field. When you go into the unconscious, emotions tend to come in layers and in these big complexes. Okay. And some of these emotions are contradictory in nature. So I would say some emotions that we don't talk about are blended emotions. the emotions of love and hate combined together, right? We don't really have a name for that. I think some other cultures maybe have names for things that in English we don't, and vice versa. So I would say blended emotions, complexes of emotions, and then there are probably states of being, these emotional fields, which are the essence, in my estimation, at the root of existence that we can come in contact with. And if you've had any deep spiritual states, maybe you have. The last thing I'll say, just because of time, is it seems to me that our subjective experience of emotion, pleasure, pain, any emotion, I'm not completely sold on this intellectually, but it sure seems like they're of a different dimension entirely. Like it's hard to explain. This is the qualia or the subjective experience of emotion. Just when you feel pure love or unconditional love, it doesn't seem like there should be any way for the interactions of molecules, the firing of neurons to create that subjective feeling of love. It almost is like they align in such a way that allows the dimension of love to come into us, or hate or anger. And then these lower emotions aren't things unto themselves, but diminutions, privations of the higher. So there's not two worlds of good and evil, but there's only good, and it's kind of diluted. And when it's diluted, that's what we call evil. It's a very long discussion. It's a fantastic question. I didn't answer it very well, but I would 100% love to talk about it more, especially next week when we do the. I would love for you to attend the dark side and letting go. But great question. Oh, thanks, Anton. I appreciate it. It's on it's on the meetup site. Thanks for posting that so much. Okay, we went. Did everyone do their stressors and regrets? Okay, I'm going to assume you did. Now let's just move on. I could go on, Akshat, about that for 3 hours. We could talk about that all day. It could be a semester worth of. I teach essentially neuroscience 101 to undergrads, and I have to keep it very by the textbook. But I always allow a little bit of the philosophy to come in as well. And you're speaking my language when it comes to the nature of emotion and different emotions as well. So, okay. So we set our stressors and our regrets. You probably didn't finish everything. You can go back and do it. So now what we want to do is set our nightmare world for each area. And we've kind of already done that, but we want to bring it together. Okay. And I'm just going to do this very briefly. So I'm looking at my stressors and I'm looking at my regrets, and I'm thinking about really the end of this year. What's my nightmare at the end of this year? I haven't started working out, and my diet is the same. Again, I'm not worried about typos. I'm just getting it down. And this is my number one nightmare. I'm on diabetic medication. I've lost more confidence, and like you, Shan, was saying, my goals now make me feel like trash. Right? Like that's my nightmare. I set this goal and I didn't achieve it. You should wear the world like a light garment, but you got to play the game. And part of playing the game is to let those goals, if you didn't achieve them when you're setting your nightmares, let them hit you a little bit. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm really upset about these goals, because if you're a spiritual person, in the end, none of this matters. All that matters is, or humanistic, it's how you treat other people. But while you're here and you're given this gift of life, you want to maximize it, especially physically. Socrates said, you've never really you haven't lived your life to the fullest if you haven't found your like physical perfection. You haven't reached your potential physically. Okay. So this is at the end of the year, the nightmare world. I haven't started working out. My diet is the same. I'm on diabetic medication. I've lost confidence. And now you kind of see yourself sitting in a dark, dungy room. You can barely get off the couch. You look in the mirror. You don't like what you see. This is the nightmare world. And you can get more into this. And you can see like my teeth are even yellower, right? Like, you can add stuff like that. My hair was never dyed, right? Never dyed. I never did anything. I didn't take care of the big stuff or the small stuff, right? So now you have this nightmare. Okay. And guess what we're going to do now? After we set the nightmare, we go back to the dream world. Okay, so we've been through the swamps, we've been through the trenches, we've found out what we hate, what we don't like, what's stressing us now, what the future would look like. And I'm really thinking about the end of the year. And if you want to add to the nightmare, you can then do your end of life nightmare, right? You can add some of those regrets here. You're kind of combining in the nightmare part, the stressors and the regrets, and you're just painting this picture of what you don't want at the end of the year. Start with the big stuff, and then you can add the little stuff too. But now we're back to the dream world. Okay, the dream world is I started working out, and here's where you get more specific, right? Started working out. I joined a group that does HIIT training or whatever 3 times per week. I joined a group that 2 times a week bike ride. I'm just making this up, right? Bike rides at 5 a.m. I'm not on a diet. I have a new lifestyle. I joined a group of people who eat in this lifestyle. I'm part of a community for this lifestyle. So, like for me, I'm carnivore, right? I stick around carnivore people. I watch carnivore videos, right? I stick to the carnivore diet. I'm thin, toned. Lungs are great. Teeth are white, right? Like, so now I'm setting this dream world. And then maybe you have like an ultimate goal. I've ran 2 marathons this year, or I did an Ironman. I've benched. You're thinking about the end of the year, 325. I like the way I look in the mirror. And you can start to feel the emotions under this. And if you want to start naming those emotions, you can. I feel confident. I feel powerful. I feel love for myself instead of hate, right? So now we have this dream world, right? So let's do that. Let's set our nightmare. Let's combine those stressors and regrets. And then let's set our dream world. And as you're setting your dream world, you can always jump back and look at what you want. Like I also got my facelift done, right? Like whatever, it's up to you. I got my Botox shots, right? You're seeing at the end, you're seeing your whole dream world. This is what you're setting. And remember, the reason we call it a dream world is because there's a goal. And a goal, the etymology means boundary or border or limit. You cross into a new world. So this is the world you're going to enter into. And then the last step after we do the nightmare in the dream world is we're going to get specific with the plan. Okay. With the plan after we do this. So let's take 10 minutes and let's wrap up our nightmare and do our dream world. I know you won't get through all of this, but then we'll talk about the plan more specifically and how we plan our day. And that'll be the last section.
So Dylan, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. It's Uta. I finally fixed my microphone. How are you?
Hi, Uta. How are you?
I'm good. Unfortunately, my camera's not working. But anyway, I've
Okay.
one question I have. Um, let's see. I'm so stuck on the emotional goal that I'm not so interested in all this other stuff,
Mhm.
Physical, I'm good. I
Mhm.
like to clean my house. I go to the gym all the time, but I'm so stuck on the emotional. Would you suggest to go through each goal, maybe to get my mind off my emotional stressors? Because I'm really stuck on that.
So you're saying the when you look at every category, the area that is most most in need of repair or growth is the emotional aspect of your life.
Yes.
Okay. Well, not to repeat myself, but if that is something you're hung up on, the January 5th meeting is for you. And if you want like a little sneak peek of that, this again is 100% free. If you can sign up there to the Letting Go program, and
Yep.
and that has to do with letting go of emotion.
Yeah, I already signed up for that. Thank you so much for that. Because
Okay, that,
I'm in this hole for years and I keep trying because I'm tired of feeling stuck in this emotional jail almost because I can't get out of it. Yeah. So
well, this is the program for you,
okay.
in my opinion. I will also say, when it comes to worlds, sometimes we're already in the world we love. We have a great relationship. We have a great body. We're happy. And those goals are to defend that world, to make sure we stay in that world.
Mm.
So you're doing really well in a lot of areas. So pat yourself on the back. And sometimes that world means congratulate ourselves. And sometimes a world that we really love, we're in a great relationship. We just want to do little small renovations, little tweaks. Not everything means going from one world to another. We just want to
Yeah.
make sure we don't fall back into a bad world. So you're good everywhere else. I really think, in my opinion, the Letting Go program is what will help you. So very briefly, I used to think that thinking.
I would live in an organized environment
Sorry,
and be able to.
Not me. Not
oh,
sure.
it's not you.
Mm-mm.
I'll just. I used to think that thinking was a way to change my life. Like I would set my alarm for every 15 minutes and make sure my internal dialogue and my internal mental imagery was really good. My body language was good. I was always trying to change my thoughts to change my life. And then I realized that actually the way to change your life is to deal with the emotions that give rise to thoughts. And in the How to Let Go program, we talk about a very powerful way to deal with emotions, to go into the unconscious emotions that you're harboring and allow them to come up. Again, it's a unique, sort of special way to let go of emotion. And I tell everybody this when I do these programs, and it sounds ridiculous, it sounds crazy, but I haven't had a bad day in 15 years.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and you go, how the hell is that possible, right? I've had death in the family. I've had major sickness in the family. I've been through 2 breakups, right? I've had financial problems. So it's not like I've had a perfect life for 15 years. But 2 things happen. One, you feel good because you know how to let go of negative emotion. Second, you feel good even when you don't feel good. Now, why is that? You feel good when you don't feel good because you can let go. You know how to let go of negative emotion. And as you're letting go of a negative emotion, even though it's intense and it doesn't feel good, you're still happy. The same way that even though if I were like to hit pause during a workout and you're like grinding through extra reps, are you happy in that moment? Nah, right? But yes, you are happy. Even though it sucks and you're in pain, you know you're going somewhere. Another way to put it is it's like you own this huge mansion and one wing of the mansion is filled with trash. And it might not be fun to clean that trash out, but cleaning it out is fun in itself, even though if like in the moment you're not happy, you are happy overall because you're cleaning it out. So you go through these periods as you learn to let go of negative emotion where you kind of float through life. And you really do just feel bliss and happiness and peace, and everything's exquisite. And then when tragedy hits, and life tragedies will hit, you know what to do about it. You know how to handle the emotion. So even as you're going through a family member who just had a cancer diagnosis and has been given 6 months to live, something I've gone through, you're oddly happy, even though you're in the middle of a life tragedy. So I think that program can really help you. And if you ever need to talk about anything, just email me, and I can give you some more one-on-one advice as well.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Of course. Yushan.
Hi, Dylan. I just have a very curious question, very short one though.
Mm-hmm.
So I just graduated from college like 3 weeks ago, and
Oh,
this is like a
congrats.
thank you. So like this is like a transition phase for me from being in college, being like actually facing the like what to do the next chapter. So like when I set my goal, I have no idea what to set because like my usual goal is like get a good grade, make sure to make be like conversation with other people. Now it's like I don't have that structure no more, so I don't know how to juggle with all that.
Yeah, I mean, there are phases in life where you're kind of going into terra incognita, unknown worlds. And
Mm-hmm.
when you don't know where you're going to go, the best thing you can do, in my estimation, is start to visit different worlds. So I don't know what you majored in, but you might want to visit worlds that maybe you don't think have any connection to what you want to do. Join
Mm-hmm.
like, virtual reality groups, AI groups, psychology groups. Go visit different worlds and see what you're attracted to. Expose yourself to a bunch of YouTube videos. See what captures your attention. Because as Akshay was saying, there's something in the unconscious that's going to direct you. So you have your conscious set of eyes, but your unconscious is also looking as well. So if you've ever had love at first sight, I have, something in your unconscious pulled you towards that person, right? And the same thing goes for something you might find as a calling or a passion. For me, I remember reading like this beautiful poem by Gerard Manley Hopkins and a great novel by Joseph Conrad. And I knew instantly when I read that I wanted to write. Or when I was in high school, I read The Farther Reaches of Human Nature by Abraham Maslow. And I said to myself, I want to make programs about existing at the highest levels. And this was when I was 15, right? So, but that was through just picking up books, exposing myself to different things, and the unconscious goes that way. So just keep exposing yourself to different worlds, and you'll find a world you want to live in, a boundary you want to cross into. The hard part
Mm-hmm.
is you might find a lot of things. So then you gotta narrow it down to what you want. Great question.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Of course. Akshat.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned YouTube videos. I was gonna just make a statement or give suggestions, and I guess it's in synchronicity to a
There we
certain
go.
extent when you said that. But
Oh, I
there's
see.
another meetup I was in recently, and I think it's finished or it's ongoing. But I posted a link. It's a playlist of the last 5 days that they recorded, and it talks
Oh,
about
awesome.
Vinash forces, which is
Hmm.
something similar to your step two, which is the regret part of things, and
Oh, very
they
cool.
explain it as nature's way of providing pain,
Mm,
which is a thing that is required to make people change uh, to a better quote unquote path. And it's interesting because if you don't stick to it, then that pain turns into bigger pain, which is similar
yeah,
to your concept of this regret and stressors that turn to regrets, and so on and so forth.
yes.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept, and it's like Vinash is just another, I think, Hindi or Sanskrit word for destruction forces. Where
Ah,
if you think of it from other perspectives, it's rebirth slash death and birth kind of a thing. Like you got to destroy to create kind of concept. So yeah, it's fascinating. Thanks.
thank you. I can't wait to watch the videos. I try to absorb everything. Yeah. What you'll find is anybody who's gone and done spiritual work or any type of inner work, it's going to overlap a lot because there's only truth, right? And we're all human. So when you go into those deeper levels and layers, you get a lot of synonyms, right? Like a lot of words for the same thing. And that should reinforce your belief that what we're talking about is a real thing, right? So yeah, these destructive forces. I've spent a ton of time studying Hinduism, Bhagavad Gita, Buddhism, Christianity, and all of them, there's obviously distinctions and differences there, but there's also a lot of commonality. So I can't wait to watch these videos, and an awesome synchronicity. Okay. So let's finish this up, shall we? I know you'll probably have to go back and redo, or not redo, but add on to a lot of this. But let's talk about how we move from the dream world and where we go from here. So we'll talk about planning, and here's where we just want to get specific. Okay, and there's so much I could tell you about planning, but we just don't have time. But what I'll say is, you just want to give yourself something that's realistic but challenging. So realistic but challenging, and you're also you're looking, I'm sure you've heard of this, looking for the minimum dose. So like unless it's something you want to be like in the top 1% of the field of, like body fat or whatever, I'm looking for not the top 1%, but maybe the top 5%. That's what I'm aiming for. How can I be in the top 5% of physical shape? So the plan is, again, I may even started to write it here in the dream world, and it'll be like I'm using carnivore because that's what I do, carnivore group. Maybe you're a vegan, whatever. Join a carnivore group, join a class with a coach. Okay. And you obviously have budget constraints here. So you need to think about that. If you don't have budget constraints, it does make goals a little easier to achieve. But when I had no money, you can still achieve goals because there's so much free stuff online. So you want to join a class with a coach that does HIIT twice a week. So for me, what I might do here is boxing twice a week. Now I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm working on a skill and I'm getting the lungs in shape. And then 2 times a week, I'm going to lift with my friend. Right? Okay. So you start to build a realistic plan that you can do. The problem I see a lot of people do is say, they have their dream world. I am going to work out 4 hours a day starting at 4 a.m. like David Goggins. Right? You're going to do this for 3 days and quit. It's not going to work. Like for me, one of the things about 3 or 4 years ago, I really threw out my back and I realized I wasn't flexible at all. So I knew I needed to get flexible. And I said, what's the easiest thing I could do that could be the most effective? And I said, I can stretch 3 times a day, 3x per day stretch for 1 to 2 minutes at a time. Seems like nothing, right? But I take 2 showers a day, typically hot showers. So before I get in the shower, I get the steam going and I leave my clothes on and I stretch for 1 or 2 minutes before I get in the shower. I have 5 stretches I do. I started doing that 3 years ago, and I stretch 3 times a day. And I have done that every day for 3 years. And guess what? Before I couldn't, like my hands could only get to the middle of my shins. And now I can put my palms on the ground just from that. Very patient, but it was something I can do. If you look at my actual to-do planner, I have a box for morning stretch, midday stretch, and night stretch. And I mark it off every day. It's easy to do. I can do it anywhere, do it in the airport, if I'm waiting for a plane. So you want to set it up for yourself to succeed. You're looking for the minimal thing you can do to get yourself in the top 5 or 10% of this area. Now, if your passion is bodybuilding, you need to change that because you're trying to get in the top 1% or 0.01%. And that's where you go, okay, 4, 5, 6 hours a day. If you're, going to be a medical doctor, that's when it's like 8 hours a day. I'm doing nothing but working on medicine, right? Or you're starting a business. That's different than just trying to get in the top 5, 10%. You're trying to get in the top. Everywhere else, I'm trying to find the minimum thing I can do so I can set it on autopilot. Once I join a carnivore group, right, and I get into that groove, then I'm looking for the power of streaks. This is if you get this here, the power of streaks is something that every successful person, high achieving person, people who achieve their goals, they get on streaks. So, I'm going to box twice per week for the entire year. So now after 2 weeks, I have a streak of 2 weeks, and then you can tell people about your streaks. If you meet somebody who goes on streaks, they'll say, I've been a carnivore for 5 years, right? Never cheated. Or I was a carnivore for 5 years. I had a little period where I got off the trip, but overall for 5 years, I've been a carnivore. Streaks redefine who you are. They reinforce your character. And when you get on a streak, you'll find you don't want to break the streak. And if you break the streak, you want to get back on the streak. Okay. So as you set or plan your dream world, look in here and see if there's a streak you can get on. Imagine yourself 5 years from now saying, I've done boxing twice a week for the last 5 years and never missed. Okay, you're on that streak. It's something to talk about. I know my father, he worked out every single day for like 10 years, and then he had to get his gallbladder taken out. So the morning he had his surgery, he worked out, and then the next day he had the surgery that night, and it was overnight. The next day, obviously he has stitches. He got out of his bed. He's one of those old school tough guys. And, like 5 a.m., he was walking around the recovery ward, blood dripping out. He was going to do 10 laps, moving at a snail's pace around the recovery ward in pain to keep his streak alive. And the nurses were like, what the hell are you doing? Okay, go lay back down. But that's the power of streaks. Now, he was sick another time where he literally couldn't get out of bed, couldn't work out. So what did he do? He was sick for 3 days. Once he was better, guess what he did? He worked out in the morning, and then he worked out at night to make up for the 3 days he missed. So for 3 days, he did 2-a-days. So as you start to plan your dream world, right? How do you travel from where you are now into this world? Think about the power of streaks. And in every area of life, try to get on a streak. For your quality of life, maybe you say, I didn't do laundry at all this year. I haven't done laundry in 5 years because I drop it off, right? Or I hired somebody. Dumb streaks. Streaks are so powerful. If for me, for 15 years, never missed a day, I have released emotion. Every single morning, first thing I do, I release emotion. Don't miss a day. I can tell you for 15 years, that's what I've done. For 3 years at a time, I was doing a deep dive into the unconscious. Okay. So a year ago, twice a week, I worked on my golf game for an hour, twice a week, no matter what, and sometimes a little more than that. So I'm always looking for streaks. It's kind of a hack when you start to plan to get to your dream world. And it doesn't have to be like an everyday thing. It can be like you did something 2 or 3 times a week for so many weeks. I know a professional golfer who golfs 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, takes 1 day a week off. And he does that for about 48 weeks out of the year. That's his streak. He can tell you for the last 5 years, for 48 out of 52 weeks, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, I was working on my golf game. So the power of streaks is what you want to do when you plan. So let's write our dream world and plan it out. And I want to do this really quick because we're running out of time. In this area here, we also have our day planner. And what I do is I just take all of these areas here, right? Everything we have here, all the goals here, and then I list them over here. So when I set my goals for the day, I go through all of these. Now, the first section here, I list my goals. And I read through these every day, and I really read through them, okay? I read through these goals. I feel the feelings. And notice here, I have the nightmares down here too. So I very briefly feel the nightmare. Feel the dream, feel the nightmare. Feelings, worlds. And that's the first thing I do every day. I look at those. I put this at 1 font just so it doesn't take up as much room when I'm doing it. When I read them, I just go up to 10 font. But I list all of my goals there so I don't have to go back here. Maybe once a week, I'll go and read through all of this again. So once a week, I'm going to go read through this. But most days, I'm just going through this. And then I know my goals, and I'll put my goals, in this form. I left the typos in here because I want to show you it's just about getting it out, and then you can fix it up later. So like here is release. That's what I'm going to do today to achieve my spiritual goals. I'm going to read, let's say, Wang Bo for a while. Okay, so how am I going to get to this new world? I think about the plans I've made. I start putting the plans in my daily stuff. So I'm going from the plan here, right? The plan here to, let's go to the body and health here. Okay, and let's say I might put something like Monday, Wednesday, box, Tuesday, Thursday, lift, right? And then Friday, Saturday, golf. So then I just look at this. Okay, it's Monday, Wednesday, or today's Tuesday, whatever. So it's lift day. So it's lift today. That's it. That's what I'm going to do today. I know this is taking me towards my my dream world. One more piece of advice about planning your day. Do what you hate out the gate. Okay, this is very, very important. The thing that is hardest for you to do that first thing in the morning, if at all possible. If it's hard for you to work out, try to work out as soon as you wake up. Wake up, work out. If it's hard for you to do, like, let's say you're in sales, it's hard for you to make your cold calls. Do that as soon as you possibly can. Hopefully, you can do it right when you wake up. Do the things you don't feel like doing first, but are vitally important for your future. A good quote is, do the things that are hard to do, and the power will come. So I always try to do what I hate as soon as I wake up. Or I sometimes say, bombard the hard. Sometimes you don't hate it, it's just hard. It's part of your passion, but it's hard work. You don't want to do it. So I try to do those things first, because if I do what's vitally important first that I don't feel like doing, then guess what I get to do after that? The things that are vitally important and excite me. So we need to recognize that the things we hate is very often the direction we should go. It's the thing we should do first. If we can train ourselves, the hard things that are important, the things we go, oh, we feel like little kids who don't want to go to school. When we get those type of feelings, if we actually move in the direction of those feelings, our life can transform. When I talk to professional athletes, I say, how many days do you wake up and you want to work out? And they're like, 40, 50% of the time I'm kind of into it. The other 50, 60% of the time, I have to force myself. So hate out the gate and bombard the hard. And you know as well as I do, if you just force yourself to do something, get started, you end up having fun very often doing it. So let's take maybe 8 minutes here and just do a section where you do your the dream world and your plan and start to flesh this out. And then you can obviously change any of this any way you want. Okay, you can rearrange all of this, but that's essentially how I set my goals. It's how I achieve a lot of goals. It's how I get things done. Whirlwind crash course, but hopefully you have an understanding of nightmare worlds, dream worlds, and why we call them worlds, the importance of emotion, and then specific plans to travel, take the journey to those worlds.
Hey, Dylan, it's Anton. Trying to figure out how to raise my hand, but I can't find it. So this day planner, we do it once, or every day we have to create one of these? Oh, you're on mute again.
Sorry, I forget. Yes, you're okay. Sorry, I left out an important part. As you go through this, I check these off, right? And you can see the percentage is changing. So I'm aiming, I used to try to get 100% every day, but now if I get 75, 80% done, as long as I get the most important things done, that I'm very happy. So I'll check all of these off, right? This is how I do it. It's exactly what I do. I'll show you so let's say I completed everything today, and I put exactly what I'm going to do here in column C, right? So let's say I want to build a big business. I make 100 cold calls. I set up the email campaign, whatever, right, for business. I go through, I set up the family dinner. So I'm writing everything here. I complete it. I'm thinking about what advances me most towards that world. So at the end of the day, what do? I go, oh, and I'll just add this. Sometimes I grade myself as well. So I will say, how well did I actually review my goals? Did I just go through the motions, or was I really paying attention and reading every word and feeling it? Yes, A. Spiritually, how to do, I wasn't really focused. Let's give myself a B there. Did I lift? Okay, I lifted okay, but I kind of let off at the end, C. And I'll have these grades because it's optional. I don't do it every day, but you can look back and you notice, I'm getting C's in my body. So like, yeah, I'm doing it, but I'm kind of going through the motions, right? What I'm doing with the grades is I'm looking for sloth. Sloth, we think it's being lazy, but in spiritual terms, what sloth was a monk who had to pray every single day, right? And sloth was praying without your heart in it. So there are some things we do every day, but we don't put our heart in it. So when I grade myself, assuming I did the thing, if I don't do the thing, it's a D or an F. But let's say I did the thing, but I kind of half-assed it. C.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for bad grades, and I'm trying to be a straight A student as much as possible. So you can put those grades in there. But what I do is I'll copy all of this, right? So I just highlight, copy, and then I have Day Planner Archive, right? So I go here, I double click, you got to double click, and you paste it in. And then I left click, and then I'm ready for tomorrow. I know it's December 31st, but we have January 1st. So then I can go through, and I have an archive of every day. Now you do lose the grid layout, but it's easier this way, and you can see if you've actually finished something or not when it says true, right? So bombard the hard, I can just kind of follow this, and it says true here, and I can see I gave myself an F. So I can kind of go through. You can also take these and throw them into AI, and it can sort it out for you. But that's how I archive it. You could also, another thing you could do is just download the PDF of everything every day and save those. Or if you really wanted to, you could just duplicate this and like say, this is January 2nd, and this one would be January 1st, right? You could do that. That's totally fine. The problem is you're going to run out of tabs and your computer might get really slow. So what I do is I just archive it like this. But there's different ways you can do it. But yes, every day, let me stop sharing here and I'll show you one more. I'll show you my, let me show you my actual, this is kind of a work in progress right now. I'll show you my actual to-do list because I'm tweaking it a little bit. So this is my to-do list now. You can see I have all of my goals, right? I'm getting it ready for 2025. I have some areas that I don't have in the others. These are projects I work on. And then you can see I start writing everything I'm going to do here. I also put a little time area in here as well, right? So this is my daily list for 2025, what I'll be doing. These are my areas. Again, I made some unique areas for me in that goal list, right? And some goal areas I broke down into more areas, but essentially it's the same thing. I have, like I said, you can see my stretching here, right? And I put a little time, 3 minutes. You can see my midday stretch here, 1 minute of stretching, and you can see my night stretch. I have my miscellaneous stuff. This would also be like the adult section, right? I talked about. So this is my thing. I personalized it for me. But generally speaking, it's the same areas that we went over, except I added a few more for me. You can see down here, the bottom, I have my dream worlds. Here I have people. This is my people list. The people, I'm not going to click on it because there's personal information there. It's people that I reach out to once a month. So you can see, I don't know if I put this in here, but like for rituals, I'll have, again, I'm still making this one, people list on the 1st of the month. For students I teach at my university or people who ask me questions that I'm working with, I put their notes here. Like if I have a one-on-one call with somebody, I have it all in one place so I can go back and review when I meet with them again. So, and then this is the archive, right? Where I start to archive everything. You can see like these are my percentages recently. I've been traveling, so I'm kind of toning down towards the end of the year. So I'm not up around 70%. I used to beat myself up by not getting 100%. I don't do that anymore. But so I put world strategies here. So again, these are the strategies to get to the worlds I want to live in. And up here again is that list that has all my goals that I review every day. So that's exactly how I do it. And my 2024 list was very similar to this. Okay.
Yeah, so Dylan, just before I go back off of mute here, I just want to say thanks, a really big thanks, especially for showing how you're using the archive, even seeing that you're not at 100, like it just reinforces that it's not about the 100, it's about I guess, the consistency and, just taking the time to review every day. I didn't realize, I mean, it is a lot of work, but there's that part of my brain that's saying, yeah, that's how you get things done. You do the work. You don't just
Right,
create
right.
a spreadsheet and just hope that a miracle happens. It's like a daily thing. So
Yeah,
thanks
and
thanks for setting the example.
of course. And listen, like maybe 3 times a week works for you, or 5 times a week. So like you could, you could say, so I put 50 years old here. Like a lot of my goals are like, these are things I want to achieve by the time I'm 50. Right. And I
Mhm.
say, plus think of nightmares. I might say something like, I'm only going to do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Mm.
Okay. So like
Mhm.
what I do, if this is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and today's Tuesday, I
Mhm.
don't have to look at this today. That's done. Right. Not
Right.
doing
Right.
something. Here's a key thing. Not doing something sometimes is the most important thing you can do. I learned this as an athlete.
Mhm.
Taking 1 day a week off was the hardest thing for me to do. It was the most important thing I could do. So for you, maybe you don't need to look at this every day. What I will
Mhm.
say, which you don't see in the archive here, okay, is even though these are low, those most important things got done. So the
Mhm.
reason I'm okay with this now, with with the percentages being low, the reason I'm okay is because I know the most important things got done. So
Mhm.
even though like here is 28%, my mom wrote a children's book called Tommy Marley. And yes, I'm going to promote this in the meetup group because my mom, I drew the illustrations for it. So that was like a main project to get done. And I
Right.
drew for like 12 hours a day.
Mm.
So I only got 28% of my other stuff done, but I got this major thing done. I got Tommy Marley done, and I definitely did my spiritual stuff, which is this, the release and the vision book stuff. So
Mhm.
every day I've done this, the stretching. I got the major stuff done, even if it's only 28%. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great help.
Hi,
Thanks.
could you please
course.
send us all of these, like the finished spreadsheets here so that we have them to kind of refer back to?
The ones where I typed into?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Will do. Yeah.
Okay.
Tonight or tomorrow, I'll download all of this. I'll get the recording, I'll get everything and send it out to the meetup group. Does that work?
Perfect. Certainly
Okay.
works for me. And thank you so much. This has been very helpful.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm sorry it started off a little crazy, but am I speaking?
Well, that's how life goes. It starts out a little crazy each day and then
That's
things
true.
kind of smooth out as we go along. And I look forward to, your January 5th seminar also.
Awesome. And is everybody, thank you so much. And is most everybody here New York based?
I'm not. I'm in Wisconsin.
You're Wisconsin? Okay.
Yep.
I do some in person. So if you're New York, if anybody's New York based, we do some in New York, but I am willing to travel and do some, do some in other places. I'm actually doing one in Beijing in 2 weeks. I'm doing a meetup group on
Wow.
letting go. Yeah, my friend lives there and she took the course and she's like, hey, I set something up for you when you're visiting me in Beijing. I was like, oh, great. So that should be fun.
Come to Canada too.
Where at?
Canada.
I'd love to.
Come up and thank you so much. This was great.
Oh, Germany. Wow,
Where
we have
are
an
you
international
where
crew.
are you in Canada?
Oh, just outside Toronto.
Oh, me too. Okay, so there are 2 people in Toronto.
I saw somebody from Ireland too, I thought.
Oh, wow. We got Germany here. Hi, Yvonne.
Cool.
Alabama, Lisa Marie, what's going on?
Toronto's
Oh,
close to
awesome.
New York.
Well, anywhere works. This is awesome. Thank you, Derek. I'm just seeing some of these messages now. I'm sorry. The chat on Zoom is so bad. You, Sean, if anybody wants to schedule a one-on-one with me or talk about your goals or whatever, email me here. I can't do it tonight, Yishan or Yishen. Just email me there. I get a lot of emails. I do respond. Sometimes it takes a while for me to get back to people. So don't like freak out if I don't respond right away.
Go out in the streets. You're in Roma.
I know. It's oh my God, in 5 minutes here, it's going to be New Year's.
Yeah.
It's so I don't know if you guys could hear the fireworks going on outside and like the commotion in the hallway.
Lucky boy.
I've never been. This is a dream. It was on my bucket list, and I went to the Amalfi Coast, which was
it's lovely there. Good for you.
I know. I'm so blessed. It was a great trip. And then tomorrow I fly to Athens. And then I was in, before that, I was in Lisbon and then Switzerland. And yeah, so, and I was in Poland and I went into Ukraine.
Oh.
That's another story. And then
Poland, boy.
Poland's fantastic.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's unbelievable. It's super.
Love the
Yeah,
food.
food's great. Warsaw's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Kyiv was beautiful too. Of course, we had air raid sirens. We had a bomb. I had them. I'm traveling alone. We had a bomb land very close to where I was staying. I used to do some political writing, and I'm writing an article on faith and war, like how people are keeping their faith in Ukraine. So,
Yeah. Oh, wow.
he's here. Yeah, so a little world travel for the next 2 months, and then the classes I'm teaching are online for my university that I work for. So that allows me to do this.
Well, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much. And please reach out if you have any questions, comments, and please email me if you want to, you need to talk. Yushan, for sure.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Laura.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. And Dillon, thank you so much for your really generous teaching today. And
Happy New Year, everybody.
a lot of blessings for you in 2025.
Same
Really
to
appreciate
everyone.
you.
Same to everyone. I hope to see everyone on January 5th too. And please email. I love talking, and we can also break off into smaller groups if anybody wants to go deeper into some of this stuff as well. And the other thing we didn't do that I'm going to message and meet up about is what I wanted to do if we had more time is start to partner up so we can have our form little accountability groups of 4 or 5 people. Like maybe I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to set that up through Meetup where maybe geographically some of you guys are in the same region. You can check in on me. I said I was going to finish this program. Dillon, did you finish the program? You said you were going to finish this month or not. So something I'm thinking about doing with this this group. So, all right. Well, Happy New Year. The fireworks are going here, so I'm going to go outside, and I have 2 minutes. So, perfect timing.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.